More South Africans are starting to travel now, a year after the coronavirus pandemic severely impacted the tourism industry. However, industry leaders say more can be done to restore domestic and international travelers' confidence. South African Tourism and Netflix have partnered on a mutually beneficial project. The agreement will allow for exploration and collaboration on projects in South Africa and in key source markets that drive international arrivals to the country. Now, to tell us more about this, we are joined by Sisa Ntshona, CEO of South Africa Tourism. A very good morning, Sisa. Thank you so much for your time. How important is this collaboration between the tourism industry and Netflix?
Yeah, absolutely, and good morning, everybody. It is very exciting for us, and we're always looking for new and innovative ways of actually, positioning South Africa to the world as a tourism destination. So we looked deep and hard, and we found a perfect partner in Netflix that we are able to embed our stories, our destinations, basically, in the wonderful movies that they always portray around the world.
You speak about the importance of finding new and innovative ways to position South Africa and make it attractive to visitors. Of course, we know the tourism sector is a huge part of the economy of South Africa, driving the economy. But there are concerns that more can be done to restore domestic and international travelers' confidence in South Africa. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, look, it's been tough. It continues to be tough. But as things slowly, open up, the world is really becoming competitive. You've got top destinations around the world, and we are all competing for the same, clients, as it were. So therefore, differentiators become quite important as to what puts us in a better position relative to other destinations, And I think these are the things that we're putting in place. Obviously, the world is very fluid at the moment from an international perspective. There's issues of lockdowns, and some of our key markets like, France and the UK are also still kind of reeling, in the lockdown space. But for now, we are focusing on domestic tourism to make sure that South Africans can travel their country.
The fact that the focus is on domestic tourism, one of the sort of, I don't know if I can call it a perk, but for lack of a better word, let's call it that, of this entire situation, COVID-19, all the lockdowns, restrictions on international travel, is that South Africans have been working from home. Do you see a rise in South African tourists traveling but working from their tourist destinations?
Absolutely. In fact, you've hit, part of the new innovation they're introducing, that you can work from holiday, and the two are not mutually exclusive. So we've seen quite a lot of those pick up. Especially, what we've seen is that over time, especially the leisure places are quite busy on weekends, but during the week they've been a bit soft. So therefore, this option of working from holiday is really strengthening that middle part that has been historically empty, but that's also coming in quite nicely. And again, we are in a new world, in a new environment, and we are all recalibrating, to the new ways of working.
We also know that Minister Mamoloko Ngubane has been in talks to assure governments that South Africa's vaccine rollout is on track and that there's nothing to fear and that tourists can indeed come to South Africa. How is that going and that initiative going, and what are you hoping it will do for those who may still have concerns about coming here?
Yeah, as I said earlier on, it's a competitive space. And you almost need to think of it as a marketplace where all destinations are competing. And essentially, the differentiators becomes important. The issue on vaccine is really a competitive advantage in the sense that, safety and health is really top of the list, in terms of what international travelers are looking for. And any destination that is able to allay their fears by saying, our population has been inoculated or vaccinated to this level, our frontline staff in all of tourism has also been vaccinated, it just adds more to the ease of travel and decision-making that we're targeting out there. So essentially, it is important from South Africa's side that we really do ramp it up and communicate it effectively to say we are a safe destination for international travel.
Let's quickly talk to this partnership between Tourism South Africa and Netflix. How is it supposed to stimulate tourism in the country?
Yeah, look, as I said earlier on, there's different ways of telling the South African story. The traditional ways are really going to adverts and billboards. What we are doing now is actually putting our destinations into movies, into storytelling, so that, it can be played over and over and over again. And if you can just think about it, how many times have you seen iconic destinations embedded in movies? So we want to make sure that more of South Africa's iconic landscapes are actually also embedded in movies that just sell South Africa over and over again.
And we've been hearing, and we saw recently, in 2019, some exciting figures came out about the impact that tourism has on the country's economy. Just give us more depth on exactly how large it is within the economy and the dent that COVID-19 has had on the sector.
Yeah, look, we contribute about 8.5% to the GDP. Essentially, 1.5 million people are employed in the sector as well. And again, when 26 March came last year, we stopped. Everything came to a halt, essentially. So you can think about that consequence and impact that it has, whether you're looking at retail, whether you're looking at restaurants, the entire suite has really been affected. We can't quite quantify at the moment as to the level of damage or deterioration at the moment, because it's always ongoing. But with domestic tourism open, with regional tourism also on the African continent that we're targeting at the moment, it is starting to help to bring us back into cycle again. But it'll really come right, I think, when the world fully opens up. And it's anyone's guess at the moment as to when that will be, when tourism can fully kick in again.
Another factor here is that we know that flying in and out of South Africa has also been a challenge, especially going to the airport and learning that Virgin, for instance, isn't flying. It hasn't been flying. British Airways isn't flying and hasn't been flying. How much of an impact has that had on, travel?
Well, some context. Flying anywhere in the world is a problem, right? Many countries have closed themselves up to the world. Many countries are in hard lockdown themselves. So essentially, mobility globally is just something that's still quite difficult at the moment. Also, we haven't gotten to a stage where the world has a unified regime in terms of rules and regulations around travel. So if you travel from one country to the other, you have to observe the rules and regulations of your country that you're from and also the country that you're going to as well. And things could change quite quickly. So it becomes quite important then, at some stage to say, travel for now, international is really challenged, but everyone is focusing on domestic because that's more in their control. And as things start to become a bit more certain, we'll start to see the confidence come back in the sector globally.
Let's talk about sport tourism for a moment. We know that that's obviously been severely impacted, in particular with the British and Irish Lions supposed to be landing on South African shores in the next couple of months. How can we safeguard that, in particular, that tour, because we know that that's a big money maker for the country as well, but also others going forward and open the sports tourism industry up as well?
Yeah, look, sports and events are big for this country. On a global scale, we really host one of the best kind of sporting, codes across the board. But again, globally, sport has been shaken. You would see, for instance, the EPL, there's still no spectators, so they're still playing as an example. You start to see golf with limited spectators. Formula One itself has no spectators. And essentially for the Lions tour, it's our really biggest calendar event, in this year. It is happening in South Africa, which is a big tick. But however, we cannot guarantee at this stage whether there will be spectators or not, because we just can't see as to where things will be in 3, 4, 5 months' time when it actually eventually happens. So it really is fluid, and I think we are all picking up, as you say, different ways of actually opening up the sector safely, to all spectators.
And Sisa, before we let you go, if you were speaking to an international market or perhaps people who are looking to visit and move, just after COVID-19 and the numbers are curbing, what would you say, besides South Africa is a beautiful country with vibrant people, that would make it exciting for people to want to come here?
Yeah, I think first of all is to say that we need to prioritize safety wherever we are at, whether you are in the foreign market or going to a destination. You need to also understand that for now, for many destinations, they're not able to move outside their own country. When it is safe to do so, we really encourage people to come to South Africa. That actually coming here is more than just, what I call the highlights you just mentioned, but to travel with a purpose, that every rand, dollar, pound spent in tourism essentially acts as a catalyst to get our economy going. And when our economy starts going again, people start to get employed and prosperity starts to kind of engage again. So it really is quite important to really place in the mind of the traveler the impact they can have when they choose to travel to South Africa.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, talking to us about what makes South Africa attractive and the impact that tourism has on the country's economy. Sisa Ntshona, CEO of SA Tourism.